This is a boring update video. Today I have an update to share with you about my life, and then another update. I'm changing the DougScore a little bit. If you're new to my channel, do not watch this video. It's very boring. Literally every other video I've ever made is more interesting than this one. If you've seen a lot of my videos and you're curious about some updates, well then get excited. Why are there always monkeys? Anyway, update number one, I am moving. As many of you have already guessed because I keep asking for cars in Southern California, I am moving to Southern California. I am moving in June to San Diego. Now, since so many people outside California are clueless about California geography, allow me to explain this to you.
This is where I'm moving, San Diego. It has a big zoo with lots of tapirs. This is Los Angeles. It's like 2 hours north of San Diego. I'll be there sometimes. My brother lives there. He has an Xterra. This is the San Francisco Bay Area. It's way up north. I'm not moving there. This is Sacramento, which is the capital of California. This is Lake Tahoe, which is a lake named after a Chevy SUV. And this is extreme Northern California, and literally nobody has any idea what goes on up there except for the marijuana.
Now, you might be wondering why I'm moving to San Diego, and it's the usual reasons. My wife and I have family out there. My wife's job is taking us there, and frankly, I'm excited to be in a place with year-round great weather so I don't have to travel as much, especially in the winter, to film these videos. Last year I traveled about 120 days, 130 days, something like that, and it is very expensive, and frankly, it's just getting tiring, and I want to be in a place where I don't have to travel quite so much. So with that in mind, if you live in San Diego, if you live in Orange County, Los Angeles, all the way up to Santa Barbara, and you have a cool car I can film a video with, email me and I will try to get to you. If you're at a dealership that has cool cars in that area, send me an email. I'm a little backed up on email responses right now, coordinating this move that's happening in just 6 weeks, but I will read your email and I'll try to get back to you. I'm definitely interested in cool cars to film out there. Update number two, the DougScore is changing. As of this moment, the DougScore weekend categories are changing drastically. Now, it used to be that I had 5 weekend categories. You had styling, acceleration, handling, cool factor, and importance. But this led to some issues. The biggest problem was that 2 of those categories were based on how cool and special the car was, and not how much fun it was to actually use on the weekends, and this was causing some skewed scores. For instance, the Jeep Wrangler had a lower weekend score than the Volkswagen Phaeton, even though the Wrangler is like designed for weekend driving. So the change is this. There are still 5 categories, but now it's styling, acceleration, handling, fun factor, and cool factor. Cool factor is now going to take into account both importance and how cool it is, and fun factor is going to take into account how much fun the car is to actually use. The way I think about it is, if someone handed me the keys to every single car I've reviewed, the cars that get a 10 in fun factor would be the ones that I would drive first, and the cars that get a 9 would be the ones I drive next, etc., on down the list. Now, I've also made some other tweaks here and there, and I've rescored every single car I've ever DougScored, and you can see the results in the Google Sheet linked below in the description in this video, and in all future videos where I review and DougScore cars. To commemorate the new and revised DougScore, I have also newly scored 15 cars that I made videos with before the DougScore launched. They are the new Acura NSX, the old Acura NSX, the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio, the Bentley Mulsanne, the BMW 1 Series M, the Ferrari California T, the Ferrari Testarossa, the Ford Focus RS, the Honda Civic Type R, the Hummer H2, the Lamborghini Murcielago LP640, the 2015 Maserati Ghibli, the Mercedes SLS AMG, the Mercedes AMG GTS, and the Mercedes G550 4x4 Squared. And now I'm going to go through their scores all together so I can show you how the revised and updated DougScore works.
Starting with the weekend categories and styling, the winners here are the new NSX, the Mercedes SLS, and the Testarossa, all of which are gorgeous and get an 8. The bottom is the ghastly Hummer H2 and the Honda Civic Type R, which looks like an automotive caricature. Next up is acceleration. My acceleration scale stays the same. Some people have complained that fast cars don't get high enough scores, but that's the point. The goal here is to be biased toward fun sports cars, and you can see how all of these did. Next up is handling. The SLS always blew me away with its insane handling, and it tops this list, but some other cars are very close behind, including the BMW 1 Series M, which is among my all-time favorite cars. No surprise, the Hummer H2 is ranked the lowest. Next up is the new category Fun Factor, and you can see what does well. Remember, this is basically someone hands me the keys to all these cars and the rankings of which one I'd go drive first. With that in mind, the SLS, the Murcielago LP640, and the amazing 1 Series M win the day. Next up is cool factor, which now factors in importance, and you can see how all these vehicles do. Nothing especially interesting, except maybe the Hummer H2, which gets a 1 because it is possibly the least cool vehicle in existence aside from maybe the Chrysler PT Cruiser, and I mean maybe. Next up are the daily categories and features. I've tweaked the features category to be a little more difficult to make sure only the most innovative cars get a 10, so these mostly end up somewhere in the middle. Next is comfort, and now we have a third car that gets a 10 out of 10. Previously it had only been Rolls Royces, but the Bentley Mulsanne now notches a 10 as well. The Ferrari Testarossa is the big loser here, largely because of the difficult driving position, the insanely heavy steering, and the heavy clutch. Next we move on to quality, which factors in reliability and materials, and these cars all perform about how you expect. The Mulsanne is at the top, the NSX and California T also do very well. The Hummer is at the bottom because it's terrible. Next is practicality, which I've tweaked just a bit here and there in the full spreadsheet. Practicality now takes into account not just cargo room and gas mileage, but how practical a vehicle is to actually use. For example, the Rolls-Royce Phantom has good cargo room, but are you really going to drive it everywhere? It's huge and attracts massive attention. Anyway, here's the practicality score for these cars. And finally, value stays about the same. Most of these cars are somewhere in the middle to high range, although the Hummer H2 stays low because used H2s are shockingly expensive.
Anyway, that's the update. Go peruse the updated DougScore linked in the Google Sheet in the description below. I always said I would sort of see how the DougScore did and decide whether I wanted to make any changes, and with this change, I think it's finally final, although I'm sure I'll tweak a few cars here and there over time, but probably no more comprehensive changes like this. And if you live in Southern California, and especially San Diego, send me an email if you have a cool car for me to film. I'm sure I will see you at a car event or a car meet at some point, as I think this will probably be a permanent home for me. And by the way, one last tidbit just for those of you who have made it this far, the famous CarMax Range Rover just had its last warranty service visit today. I will have an update on that going up in a couple of months to give you the final total of my CarMax warranty repair bill. No, but seriously, why are there always monkeys? They're so loud, obnoxious creatures.